So what's the point in getting and using an old piece of equipment that's no longer made and definitely not supported in the aftermarket? All you're going to do is find it, fix what you can and get it working, and then use it until one day it breaks down. Then that vintage machine now needs a part you can't get anymore, and you're better off putting it on the shop wall. So why even bother? Well, I'll tell you why. In today's video, we look at this Green Machine's string trimmer, and the problem is it won't start. And the reason is more than likely due to poor storage. Now, I've already fixed this trimmer, and if you want to see that video, there should be a link to it at the top of the screen or at the end of the video. I'm just going to use the video as a background while I talk about why someone would want to fix and use something this old. Now, I'm not sure how old this one is, but from what little information I was able to find online, this might be well over 30 years old, but it could be a lot older. So if these are so rare, how was I able to get this one? Now this one used to belong to a customer. They had a few trimmers that needed to be fixed, and this was one of them. The problem was that the quote I gave them to fix all the trimmers was more than they wanted to pay. I asked which ones they wanted fixed, and this one ended up being left over. I then asked if I could have it, and surprisingly, they said yes. So why would they give up on this one but not on the others? The answer are the parts. I'm quite sure they realized just how old this trimmer was and that the parts for it were either going to be tough to find, and if we did find them, would be very expensive. I told them I'd gladly take on the challenge, so now it's mine. So this is not something that everyone should do. The reason they passed on it made a lot of sense. The fact that the likelihood the parts for this trimmer would be tough to find and ultimately get was a problem that I willingly decided to take on. Makes you have to question my sanity, but to be honest, I find it more intriguing than a problem, which you'll see when I have to deal with the fuel tank. One of the reasons why you should get and fix vintage machines like this one is because of the quality of the machine. Now, I'm not saying that everything from 30 or 40 years ago is a quality machine. What I'm saying is that the quality of the older machines is a lot better than the mostly plastic machines being offered right now. Now, don't get me wrong, plastic is good stuff. You can mold it into a lot of complex shapes, and it can be done for a lot less than making it out of metal, but I don't think they'll hold up over time like a part made out of metal. That's the reason why you can still find these older machines lying around. They're very resilient and won't fall apart like the stuff being made out of plastic. Now, I did get a comment one time from someone vouching for plastic components on the newer machines, but it's pretty easy to tell which plastic parts the manufacturers want to last versus the parts they want to fail. The plastic front ends and the rear sections on certain mowers were meant to fail, and it's pretty easy to see why. The plastic is not strong and very thin on top of that. After a few years, they'll warp or even just break altogether. As you can see on this trimmer, there's a heat shield over the muffler to keep you from seriously hurting yourself, but on a modern machine, this piece is made out of plastic. Yes, a plastic heat shield. Now, I'm pretty sure that it's going to work for some time, but I don't think it's going to hold up like a metal part. So that means another metal part avoided and another dollar saved for the company. Of course, all plastics aren't bad. Take for instance this fuel tank. It's not metal and yet it's holding up just fine. Like I said, if they design and make it well, plastics can hold up for a very long time, and the fuel tank is a great example of that. But if you compare this tank to a newer tank, it'd be safe to say that the newer plastic fuel tanks wouldn't hold up as well as this one. Now, you might think a metal tank would be better, but that's not always the case. If you notice, the carb on this trimmer is made out of almost entirely plastic. Yet again, not all plastics are bad, and in this case, it's being used on a machine made with a lot of metal. So there needs to be a balance of metal parts to plastic parts, which unfortunately, in modern machines, the balance is in favor of the cheap plastics, which of course increases the profit margins for the companies involved in making the products. So I am definitely not anti-plastics and pro-metal. I don't have a problem with the mix of both materials, but you have to know the reason why most companies are using plastics, and it's not to benefit you, the consumer. I doubt that I can prove that unless I can get an inter-office memo from a manufacturer that states,
"We need to reduce costly metal parts in favor of cheaper plastic parts to see an increase in our quarterly projections. This should also increase our sales revenue as a result due to the products having a shorter lifespan."
Now, that make-believe inner office memo isn't wrong at all. Reducing the cost of the parts that make a final product is of course one way to make the product cheaper and ultimately make more profit on it. The other way is to use cheap labor in other parts of the world, which a large company would never do. They would never take advantage of an underdeveloped region like that. Unfortunately, the joke's on them, as that region is now becoming more prosperous thanks to the factories they built there, and the labor isn't cheap anymore. So unfortunately, with the price of labor steadily increasing, the parts have had to become cheaper, and in the end, the consumer is not only getting a cheaply made, but also a cheaply assembled machine. The machines from decades ago weren't made like that. They at least wanted to make sure they were making and selling a decent quality machine, and without the competition of cheap overseas equipment like there is now, these older machines were durable and meant to last, and it's unfortunate that greed has got us here to this point where it's hard to say that anymore. There are some great quality machines out there now, but you'll know it because you're going to feel it in your wallet when you buy them. So why don't I see a bunch of older machines being used by lawn care professionals or even some homeowners? The answer is rather sobering. Parts. Because these machines are no longer being produced and sold in the market, the parts are also disappearing as well, which means the machines are starting to disappear. No parts means no more old machines. It's like a problem that's still raging on today, but with a different type of tool. We'll call these fun toys. At a certain point, someone more influential than you will say you can't have any more fun toys, but there's no way to pick up the old fun toys that people have in their homes, so they stop making or regulating the making of the fun toys batteries. Of course, if you know people, they'll eventually find ways to recycle the old batteries and keep the remaining fun toys working for quite some time. That's the same for these older machines. Now, it's not at the same level of enthusiasm, but there are those who are willing to find new old stock parts being hoarded away in homes and in old shops that are now willing to sell them on auction sites, and if not the parts, you should be able to find broken old machines to be sold and used for parts. Now, smaller parts like purge bulbs, fuel lines, spark plugs, and diaphragms are still available, but entire assemblies, such as the carb or the clutch, will be more difficult to find. For something like that, you may have to get creative and use a different part from a different model to get it working again. Now, electrical parts will probably be the most difficult parts to find. If you're unfortunate enough to have to replace the cylinder and piston or rings, you're going to find it to be a losing battle, as these parts will be difficult to find from a different model. There's not much that can be done if you have to rebuild one of these. But if you have the money, it can be done. However, the biggest question is, why spend all that money on an old machine? And to be honest, it's really not worth it. I know I just spent the last several minutes going on about why you should save these machines, and the reality is, it's not worth your time or your money. The parts aren't there, the support isn't there, and you're basically on your own, so why even bother? The biggest reason for me to try and save all these old machines is the sense of satisfaction that I get when I get them working again. So is that all I get? The answer is yes. So what's so good about this sort of satisfaction? Well, for me, this feeling is something that I find very rewarding, and these small accomplishments make me feel pretty good. Now, it's not the same for everyone, but when you find something you look forward to, you're going to find a way to make it happen again. I guess it's my drug of choice, and the best part is it's legal, and it really doesn't cost that much. Now, you don't have to dive headfirst into this sort of hobby. I definitely start by working on your own broken down equipment and see if the money and effort saved from having to take it to a shop was really worth it. And if the answer is yes, then move on to the next machine. After that, you'll soon realize the benefits of doing this kind of hobby, but a strange problem is going to come up which I was not expecting. Now, this sort of hobby isn't for everyone, but after doing it for some time now, working on all these newer machines gets a bit boring after a while. But one day, you're going to get an ancient machine in your shop, and you're going to realize that this is the first real challenge you've had in quite a long time. And after working on it, I hope you realize just how important it is to keep these working. Now, this one still has some issues, and I plan on getting back to it once spring gets here, and hopefully I'll have some great ideas on how I can improve on it. And if you find something like this, I hope you hold on to it until the day you find it interesting enough to try and fix it. So my question is, would you try and fix a machine that's older than you are, no matter how old you are? Would you take on that challenge to work on something that was built before the day you were born? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.